Welcome to Lesson 5 for Foundations of Pre-Calculus. We're working on polynomials of the form ax squared plus bx plus c. It's very similar to Lesson 1. When we get to the long method of doing these, the steps are actually the same. So our learning intentions for today first are to be able to expand two binomials. Again, a binomial just has two terms in it, so we have two of them. And this is when the first term is not 1. So we have a 2 here. Last day we did this using a box method, box diagram, or FOIL. But last time we only had x's here, nothing with a number in front of it. And the second thing we're doing today is to be able to factor a polynomial of the form ax squared plus bx plus c. So notice x squared, x, and c. But today, when a does not equal 1. So when this doesn't start with a 1. An example of this would be 4x squared plus 20x. Plus 9. I'm going to go through this a little quickly today because this is the exact same as we did last day. The only difference now is when we're expanding, there's a number in front of our x. So to expand two binomials, binomial means there's two terms in it. There's two terms in this one, so there's two of them. To expand two binomials, one method we learned last day was the box diagram. And we represent 2x plus 5, 2x and 5 here. Then x minus 7. Don't forget the minus sign. So x and minus 7. And now we multiply our boxes. So x and 2x is 2x squared. Negative 7 times 2x is negative 14x. X times 5 is 5x. 5 times negative 7 is negative 35. And now we need to collect all our like terms inside the boxes. So we have a 2x squared. Now with our x's, we have minus 14 and plus 5. So put those together and it's minus 9x's. 5 minus 14 is negative 9. And left over is a minus 35. So the expanded form of these two binomials is this trinomial. Trinomial, tri, because there's three terms. The other method to do this would have been to have used our distributed method. And our distributed method when we have binomials is called FOIL. FOIL is the F stands for first. Okay? So first one times the first one, the first part of each bracket. So 2x times x, 2x squared. Now the O in FOIL stands for outside. The outer pieces, 2x times negative 7 is minus 14x. FOIL, the I stands for insides. 5 times x is 5x. And the L in FOIL stands for last. 5 times negative 7 is negative 35. And we have these like terms here, these x's. So let's collect. We get 2x squared minus 9x minus 35. And hopefully you can see that either method got us the same answer. Let's go over the steps for how to factor a trinomial. And remember, a trinomial is ax squared plus bx plus c. And these are the steps that we did in the last video. I didn't show the steps, we just worked through them, but here's the steps written out. First, you need to find two numbers that multiply to ac. So we're going to multiply the a and the c. And what two numbers do that and also add up to b? Second, we're going to rewrite b, so we're going to rewrite this value using the two numbers we found in step 1. So step 1 leads to step 2. And we're going to split the problem into two, a left side and a right side. Step 3, factor the left and right side of the split in step 2. So factor out any common factors they have. And step 4, collect your brackets to finish off. So here is an example. And I'm going to try and keep the steps in view here so I can refer back and forth to them. So factor 8r squared minus 14r plus 3. Now step 1 is to find two numbers that multiply to a and c. So let's do that. What multiplies to 24 and adds to b? So some of you may find this really quickly. If you do, you can go right to it. But I'm going to show you if you found all possible ones. So 24 is 24 times 1. 12 times 2, 8 times 3, 6 times 4. And if you add these up, you may find, well, I don't see any that add up to minus 14. but 12 and 2 add up to plus 14. And we can, if you remember, two negatives multiplied to be a positive. So negative 12 times negative 2 is plus 24, and minus 12 minus 2 is minus 14. So the two values that multiply to AC, 24, and add to B, negative 14, are negative 12 and negative 2. So there's step 1. Now, each step builds on itself. So step 2 is rewrite B, so rewrite negative 14, using the two numbers we found in step 1. So I'm going to rewrite negative 14r as these two values. Negative 14r is minus 12r minus 2r. So all I did is I took this minus 14 and I rewrote it as minus 12 and minus 2. And the second part of that step said to split it into 2. Now step 3, factor the left and right side of the split in step 2. So we need to factor the left side and the right side, and factor takes out anything they have in common. Well, 8 and 12 have a 4 in common. R squared and R have an R in common. So if I factor or divide those pieces out, 8 divided by 4 is 2, R squared divided by R is R, 12 divided 4 is 3, R divided R is 1, so it's gone. 3 times 1 is 3. Now next, or if you think of it this way, whatever we got in this bracket must be the bracket I get over here. So what do I need to take out of negative 2r plus 3 to get plus 2r minus 3? Well, I need the signs to change, so I'm going to divide it by negative 1. And then the last step said collect your brackets to finish. We take the two parts outside that we've factored, and they make their own bracket. And then we take the bracket itself. So this is the factored form of this. And if a question says check by expanding, well, expanding is what we did at the start of the video. It's our FOIL. 4r times 2r, 4 times 2 is 8, r times r is r squared, so we get 8r squared. Now the O of FOIL, 4r times negative 3 is minus 12r's. Insides, minus 1 times 2 is minus 2r. And the last, minus 1 times minus 3 is plus 3. So I get 8r squared, collect my r's, minus 14r plus 3. So hopefully you can see I made it back to where I started. So factoring is undone by FOIL. Now what I want to show you next is a short method. We worked on a short method when we had a 1 here. And we have a short method now, but it's not as simple. So with the short method, once this step always needs to be done. Not all of it, but you need to find these two important numbers. And what you're going to do when it's a number that's not 1, r squared, is you take two brackets. If it's an 8r squared, whatever's here, you drop the squared and put it in the front of each. 8r, 8r. Now, the two numbers that multiplied to 24 and added to negative 14, they go at the back. So minus 12, minus 2. And when there was a 1 here, 1r squared, in the last day's lesson, we'd be done. The difference with the shortcut today is anything that's in common needs to go away. So 8 and 12 have a 4 in common. So I get 2r minus 3. These have a 2 in common. I get 4r minus 1. And the reason math people don't like the shortcut is because inexplicably, to make this correct and finished, these, the 4 and the 2, they need to go away. And in math, things shouldn't just disappear. There should be a mathematical reason. If you look back to this one, we could work the whole way back up. In this one, once these disappear and we're just left with 2r minus 3, 4r minus 1. The reason math people don't like it is if I covered this up, you don't really know how to get back to here. You don't know what these two values are. But the good thing about short method is it's not really mathematically sound. Well, it is because it always works, but it's not, I guess, math people don't love it. But what's good about it is it always works, and it's a lot quicker. So between lesson 4 and lesson 5, this long method works no matter what this is. So you can either remember how to do the long method for both, or each has its own unique shortcut. You could learn the shortcut for each. So now I'm going to give you one more example of this when we're trying to factor 2a squared plus 9a minus 18. So it's a trinomial, a squared, a, and a number. So if you rewind, you can look at the steps. I'm just going to talk through them though. So first, we need to find what multiplies to negative 36 and adds to 9. Well, I know it's not 36 and 1 because those numbers are too big to get away from here. It could also be 18 times 2, but those numbers are too big. 36 is also, let's see, it's 9 times 4, and it's 12 times 3. And when I do this, 12 and 3 look like they're going to be close to 9. So now it's negative 36. So I'm going to use, I want plus 9, so I want plus 12 minus 3. So you really don't have to search all of the times tables. You just need to find the two that multiply to negative 36 and add to 9. So now I'm going to rewrite my b using my two new numbers. So hopefully you can see that 12a minus 3a is 9a. 12 minus 3 is 9. So I cut it in half. Back to the left side, 2 and 12 have a 2 in common. A squared and a have an a in common. 2a squared divided by 2a is a. 12a divided by 2a is 6. And now I must get the same bracket on this side. In order to get a plus 6 out of this, I need to divide by negative 3. The two parts outside of the bracket, one of the brackets, and I am done. If I was going to use the shortcut for this method, as soon as I have the two numbers I'm going to use, I put down two brackets, and it's a 2a squared, so I put 2a at the front of each. My two numbers, plus 12, minus 3, go at the back, and anything in common inside of a bracket has to go. 2 and 12 has a 2 in common, so I get a plus 6, 2a minus 3, and whatever came out has to go away, so I'm left with a plus 6, 2a minus 3, and these are the same answer. They're, I guess, in a different order, but if you think of something simple, 2 times 4 is 8, 4 times 2 is 8. When you multiply, the order doesn't matter. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to give you the assignment. The assignment is page 177, questions 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 13, and 15, and I want you to do A, C, and E for each. Now, if you're struggling with this idea, one thing I suggest you do is, there's another person doing math videos. There's lots of people, but one that I found that I like. His YouTube handle is mathjohnson. And if you search his videos, he labels his by the textbook. So in our textbook, page 177 is part of section 3.6. So if you YouTube Math Johnson 3.6, you'll find his lesson for this. The one thing for today's lesson, if a question asks you to use algebra tiles, you can do it without the algebra tiles. We're going to be working with algebra tiles in class this coming up week. So if it says algebra tiles, go ahead, use these other methods. That'll be fine. Good luck.